Hello. Today, we're witnessing an encounter between the King Cobra and the Poison Queen spider. Who do you think will win? Moonlight slips through the trees, falling onto a silver web stretched between two low branches. At its center, the Poison Queen waits. Her body shimmers with a dark, oily glow, the color of patience and danger. Every movement is precise. Around her, tiny lives stir her children, small as grains of sand. They tremble each time the wind passes. Something is coming. A dark shape slid through the undergrowth. The King Cobra, 16 feet of muscle and intent. He moved with purpose. Smooth, silent, absolute. His tongue flicked. The scent of eggs, life, warmth. The Queen turned. 8 eyes glimmered in the pale light. Her web trembled, just slightly, like the heartbeat of a fighter before the bell. She had seen hunters before. Mantises, hornets, even rats. But not this one. Not the king of venom. The cobra rose, hood spread wide. The black mark on his neck looked like a mask. A warrior preparing for war. The spider didn't move. She waited, as she always did. Her whole life was timing. The first strike came fast, a blur of muscle, fangs flashing like drawn knives. The web shook, threads snapped. The queen leapt sideways, throwing new silk into the air, weaving even as she fell. A master spinning her defense, mid-battle. The cobra missed by an inch, slammed into the web, and twisted back. He was learning, watching. The spider climbed higher, pulled the broken strands together. She knew the rule of survival. Never panic, never waste motion. He struck again low this time, aiming for the anchor line. She dropped from the web, spinning a single silver rope as she fell. The fang passed through the space she had just occupied. Below, she landed silent. One leg torn, silk frayed. Above, the king hung poised, not striking now, thinking. They stared at each other. 2 assassins born of the same law. Strike first or die. The cobra finally lowered his hood. He understood. This was not his war. He turned, sliding back into the dark. The queen remained, her children pressed close. She did not move for a long time. Then she began to rebuild, strand by strand, under the same pale moon. That too was her way of fighting. Morning rose, the king moved again, hunger pushing him onward. He found the scent near the river, a creature slow, covered in armor and spikes, a porcupine older than the stones. The cobra coiled, muscles rippling under sunlight. The porcupine didn't flinch. Silence. Heavy. The cobra slid closer, drawing a circle around the beast. The porcupine turned his back, raised his quills like spears. A fortress of needles. A warning, enter and bleed. The cobra waited. Then it struck, a perfect line of speed and precision. The quills flashed. The cobra recoiled, hissing, a single spine buried deep in its scales. The porcupine turned, slow and deliberate. A king meeting another king. They held each other's gaze for one long, impossible moment. The cobra dropped the quill, coiled again. No rage, only calculation. He struck once more, faster, lower. The quills came late, too late. But the angle was wrong. His fangs met only air. He slid back, bruised, breathing heavy. The porcupine shuffled a few steps, then stopped. No pursuit, no victory dance. The duel was over. The cobra rested in the shadow of a rock, tasting dust and pride. He had not won, but he had not died. In this forest, that was enough. The day stretched on. Heat shimmered between the trees. The cobra moved slower now, each breath a small effort. Then, a shadow fell across the ground, a shape vast and graceful, cutting the sunlight in half. Wings enormous, white-edged, silent, a bald eagle. He circled high, reading the ground the way a hunter reads weakness. Below, the cobra stopped, raised his hood. They saw each other. One ruled the air, the other the earth, and both knew this meeting would end in blood. The eagle folded his wings. The dive was silent, deadly. Air screamed around him as he dropped, claws outstretched like curved knives. The cobra struck upward, lightning against lightning. They met mid-air, a collision of instinct and hunger. Dust burst, leaves scattered, feathers and scales flashed in the same moment. The eagle's talons caught the cobra's midsection, but the grip slipped. Too much oil, too much motion. The snake twisted, coiling around the bird's leg. For a heartbeat they were locked, predator and predator. The eagle beat his wings, rising, dragging the serpent a foot off the ground. The cobra's hood fluttered like torn silk. He struck once, twice, the fangs missing by inches. A single drop of venom fell, burning into the dirt below. The eagle felt the wind change, let go, and soared upward. The cobra hit the ground, rolled, stilled. They watched each other from their own kingdoms, one in the sky, one on the earth. No sound, no movement, only the slow surrender of the sun dipping west. The eagle turned first, climbing toward the light. The cobra slid into the underbrush, his body marked, his eyes still royal. Evening bled quietly through the forest. The queen sat once more beneath the moon, her web restored. The children clung to her belly, safe and quiet. Far away, under a cracked stone, the king lay coiled, his body a map of battles, scars fine as threads. He listened to the night. He remembered the hiss of the spider's silk, the quills that sang when they struck, the rush of wings and the taste of wind. All part of him now. He did not chase victory. He never had. He hunted to live. He lived to move. And in some strange way, he understood the queen. She too killed to protect, not to conquer. Two rulers of different realms, drawn together by the same truth, that the wild doesn't reward rage, it rewards control. The queen gently touched the final strand of her web. It quivered softly, singing a tune too faint for human ears to hear. Her children stirred, then drifted back into sleep. The king lifted his head once more. Moonlight slid across his scales, a crown gleaming in the dark.